Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here. At midday on Monday, January 6th, we have a big storm system impacting the Mid-Atlantic region, most severe in the southern Mid-Atlantic region from, let's say, the D.C. metro area down across the Delmarva Peninsula into southern New Jersey, though there has been some snow accumulation north of the Pennsylvania-Maryland border, maybe 2 or 3 inches or so in the southeastern part of Pennsylvania. 5, 6, 7, 8 inches or so far in the D.C. metro area. The steadiest, heaviest stuff from the front end of the storm is now sliding eastward over the Delmarva Peninsula into New Jersey. Still some lingering snow across southeastern PA. The back end of the storm system, though, still has some tricks involved here for, let's say, D.C. to Delmarva to southern New Jersey. You could already see on the radar after kind of a lull in the precipitation across the D.C. metro region. Here at midday, some snow showers are starting to show up on radar here across the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, northwestern Virginia, and all the way back into the Ohio Valley. There's still that upper level system, and this is all part of what I will call the back end snow that has its eyes set for, let's say, the D.C. metro area down to the Delmarva Peninsula and then eastward to the southern New Jersey, and maybe a little bit of that back-end snow making its way all the way into the southern portion, let's say, of the Philly metro region. So, yes, the bulk of the accumulation is over with in the southern Mid-Atlantic region, but again, there still can be some additional accumulation, especially down south of the Mason-Dixon line, later this afternoon into the early part of the evening. Well, let's walk through the latest model run of the GFS. This is the conventional version of the GFS model from 12Z this morning, Monday morning, and definitely is an exciting weather pattern going forward here. We have a cold weather pattern, an active weather pattern across the central and eastern states, not only for the rest of this week, but it looks like for the next couple of weeks, and that could last all the way through the month of January, even into the month of February. At the end of the video discussion, we'll kind of show one of the teleconnection indices that suggests perhaps the coldest part of this pattern, the highest probability of extreme cold may hold off until, let's say, the middle part of January into the latter part of January. And we'll talk about that towards the end of this video discussion. And we do have a storm threat for late in the week into the upcoming weekend that has a lot of potential. And let's talk about all the details here now. First of all, 500 millibar level here, we have a vigorous upper level low situated over the Tennessee Valley. And this has led to that formation of that Mid-Atlantic storm system that is now with the surface low pressure area sliding towards the coastal waters of the southern Mid-Atlantic. Let's push forward here in time here, and that system moves over the Mid-Atlantic region and then off the coast by early tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a kind of a typical day on the backside of a strong low pressure area across the northeastern states with a stiff north to northwest wind, perhaps gusting up to 35, 40 miles per hour, and a very cold air mass on the heels of this low pressure system. Now, by tomorrow morning, you're starting to see another upper level feature here sliding over to the south and east across the Four Corners region by tomorrow, and it kind of dives all the way down into Mexico, and that is the culprit for the threat late in the week, early part of the weekend. We've been talking about the possibility even for some snow way down in the deep south, Texas, for example, and this is that upper level system that could in fact produce snow all the way down into the deep south and ultimately perhaps a coastal storm for the Mid-Atlantic Northeast U.S. this weekend. Here it slides to the east, and by the time we get into Saturday, another vigorous upper level low sitting over the Tennessee Valley, and exactly the timing for the phasing of the surface low pressure area still to be determined, but a vigorous system here sitting off the New England coastline by early Sunday morning. This is Sunday morning right here, and another system off to the west. Again, we've talked about in recent days an active southern branch of the jet stream that remains to be the case here going forward, and that will keep the overall weather pattern quite active with multiple storm threats to deal with. Well, in terms of the cold, well, we'll have plenty of it. There are multiple cold air outbreaks headed into the central and eastern U.S. over the next couple of weeks. And again, the teleconnection indices suggest that will happen, and we even have a stratospheric warming event that's unfolding that will put the stratospheric polar vortex on this side of the North Pole, on the North America side of the North Pole, and that helps to likely helps to sustain this cold pattern well into the month of January, and again, perhaps even into February. Here is a widespread area below normal temperatures as we begin this week, and we'll just kind of quickly go through this and basically see a resurgence of cold air masses that make their way into the central and eastern states. And it doesn't mean it'll be below normal every single day through in the mid-Atlantic region or northeast U.S. through the next couple of weeks, but on average, if you take a 5 or 7 day time period, it's very likely to be below normal. Here we are now a week from today into the early part of next week, Monday, July 13th, and look at this. This is widespread cold encompassing much of the nation. Whenever you're colder than normal in the middle part of January, you're talking about some serious cold, because that is, statistically speaking, one of the coldest times of the entire year. Really, the second or third week of January in most parts of the eastern U.S. anyway are reaching their climatological lows for the year. So this is very impressive. Again, in approaching the middle part of January, we'll go a little bit farther in time, and it sticks around here all the way into the middle part of next week. This is the middle part of January. And keep in mind, now there'll be more widespread snow cover in the mid-Atlantic region, for example, and certainly across the Midwest, to help to aid in this low temperature pattern that's coming up for the next couple of weeks. Well, let's walk through the surface forecast maps. This is the forecast map from the 12Z GFS for midday today, and you can see this area of snow across the mid-Atlantic region. Really two separate parts to this storm system. The front end is kind of winding down now with the heaviest precipitation from the front end of the storm system now over the Delmarva Peninsula. We'll go out into the latter part of the afternoon, early evening, kind of see this secondary area. This is what I call the back end or the backlash snow associated with that cold conveyor belt, part of the cyclone system that we have right here. And this certainly can produce another inch or two across the D.C. metro region, maybe portions of southern Pennsylvania. The highest probability for additional accumulation from the back end snow, D.C. to Delmarva, maybe into southern New Jersey. We'll go out a little farther in time, and here goes that kind of tongue of moisture, that back end snow over the D.C., Delmarva, southern part of New Jersey. This is all the way out to the midnight hour tonight, going into early tomorrow morning. Even though that low pressure area is well off the coast, you have that moist flow going back, getting lifted into the cold air on the northwest side of that storm system. Now, on Tuesday, very cold day across the northeastern states, mid-Atlantic region, very tight pressure gradient pattern here between the departing low and an approaching very strong high pressure system over the northern plains. In other words, winds will gust up to 35 or 40 miles per hour on Tuesday across the northeast. Now, let's move forward in time towards the latter part of the week. And again, we have the potential of a storm system here Thursday, Friday time frame down in the deep south. This one looks like it'll get organized over the northwestern Gulf of Mexico. That's quite a bit farther south than this current storm system that had its origins over the central plains. And look at that, some accumulating snow here in Texas later this week. Now, when will this system phase together and really cause a very strong surface low? Still a little bit early to say. The GFS indeed phases this system in time to produce significant snow across portions of the mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S. It turns out to be an all-out major storm system by the time we get to late Saturday, producing some significant snow. This is a possibility for sure, but it's certainly not set in stone. We're still several days away, and some of the other models don't have a phasing like this of that system in time to produce this kind of a snowstorm here in the I-95 corridor region and elsewhere across the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S. We'll go a little farther in time, and it just continues to intensify way down to a 963 millibar low by Sunday morning. The bottom line here, there is a threat for a late week storm system way down in the deep south, and certainly that threat exists for the coastal sections of the eastern U.S. later in the upcoming weekend. Something we'll monitor, of course, closely over the next couple of days. Well, the last map I wanted to point out here is on current posting at arcfieldweather.com. This shows the East Pacific Oscillation Teleconnection Index trend going forward here through the month of January. And similar to the NAO, which we often talk about, and the AO, when the EPO is in negative territory, that tends to favor colder air into the eastern part of the U.S. It has a direct correlation with the temperature and pressure pattern and wind pattern over the eastern Pacific Ocean, which of course can dictate how much mild Pacific air can move off the Pacific into the continental U.S. Well, it drops into negative territory right around the middle of the month here of January. So that will coincide with a negative trend for NAO and AO at that particular time. So that's why it's starting to appear as if perhaps the coldest part of this current pattern may hold off until the middle of January and then continue into the latter part of January. Let's say perhaps January 15th to 25th or so, we actually may see some of that extreme cold air that we've talked about, at least the potential of extreme cold air in this kind of a pattern. So when the EPO finally drops into negative territory, at the same time AO and the NAO remain in negative territory, watch out. And again, this is right around the middle part of the month, so this is something we'll monitor over the next several days. So a lot going on. We still have to deal with back-end snow with this current system in the Mid-Atlantic region, specifically the southern Mid-Atlantic region, and then the potential for a storm late this week into the upcoming weekend. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.